Welcome to lesson 2 of the One Tao Army curriculum. Now, the mind is everything. What you think, you become. That's a quote from the great Buddha. And what you sow, you shall reap. That's another quote from the Christ. Now, the reason I share that with you is because, the power of internal Kung Fu and your power comes from consciousness from the mind. Think about it. Without your mind, the body won't exist. So, when I first met my master that I moved to Hong Kong, my first master who I trained with in Hong Kong, Grandmaster Chun, I asked him, after he threw me around, I asked him, which I told you in the last lesson, I asked him, what are you doing? Like, how are you doing this? And he said, mind power. And I was like, what? What do you mean mind power? He's like, the mind leads the chi. The mind leads the energy. And I was just like, huh? I'd thought all this kind of mind power, chi stuff was all hocus pocus bullshit, pardon my French. He completely flipped that on upside down. My head just exploded because it was obvious that he wasn't using physical force. He was not a muscular man. He was no Arnold Schwarzenegger by no means. He was the complete opposite. He was small, skinny, old, frail, so you wouldn't expect that amount of power to come out of his body, but the explanation was mind power, or at the time he called it Nimlik, further to call it Nim Tao or Nim Tao from the Sil Nim Tao. And then chi or energy, the different types of energy that are, let's say, maximized, utilized, and understood to generate power. So that's what you're going to learn in this course. You're going to learn it from the meditative consciousness and energy work side, and then how do we apply that into physical movement so that you can manifest power in combat and life. Okay, let's get into the lesson. So for our meditation work for this lesson, for lesson 2, we're going to go deeper into the spiritual intention. Now, the spiritual intention, as you may recall from the Enter the State course, is about setting your mind in alignment with your highest nature, your spiritual nature, as soul, as essence, as consciousness, as non-physical. Now, why is that important? Because as you align your mind with your highest potential, with spirit, with soul, with God, you align your internal frequency with real power. Now, for those of you who want to go deeper into this, I suggest you read the book Power versus Force by Dr. David Hawkins, or even Letting Go. They're both, teach the map of consciousness, the different levels of consciousness, and the spiritual intention activates your spiritual will, activates your internal will to start to rise your internal frequency. Now, my master, which we spoke of earlier, Choi Shung Tin, who I trained in Hong Kong with, he had a high level of consciousness. That was the secret ingredient to his internal power. He had a level of reason, of joy, so that as he would do his movements, as he would play Kung Fu, as he would demonstrate, he was able to demonstrate tremendous power, and that came from his level of consciousness. And you know that, and we know that, because if you look at the people who trained with him, even though they're all training the same thing, each person got varying degrees of power. Some got worse, some got better. So it wasn't so much the training method, but it was the underlying level of consciousness which would bring out one's internal power. Meaning the lower the frequencies, such as pride, anger, desire, blame, guilt, shame, those lower frequencies didn't lead to high levels of power. The people that were more courageous, loving, reasonable, peaceful, power naturally came out of them. Even one of the students of my master, who was very good at the internals, when asked, what does the state feel like? She said, it feels like love. So that's another indicator for you. So the spiritual intention is the foundation of your internal power, not just in martial arts, but for life. The more peaceful, the more loving, the more joyful, the more free, the more prosperous you are in your vibration, the better your life will become, the better situations you'll attract, and the easier it will be to manifest and express your potential. So on that note, let's get into the practice. So let's go one stance and one seated, and so for you guys, you can either be in your stance, you can be seated or lying down as we do our state training. For those of you who are looking to bring it more into the martial, I suggest you do it in your stance. So one of you guys can sit, one can stand. Okay. just as an example for you guys. Alrighty, so start by taking some deep, calm, peaceful breaths. Calming down the mind and relaxing the body. As you breathe deeply, use the breath to bring you into your non-physical nature, so space, frequency, energy, vibration, spirit, consciousness, so non-physical. The breath helps because you know that air is non-physical. It's like ether, space. And now as you continue to breathe deeply, bring your spiritual intention into your mind. Peace, joy, freedom, love, prosperity, oneness, courage, enlightenment. Whatever it might be, just rest your focus on the spiritual intention. Feel it. The aim is to access this feeling quality, this vibration. You may feel it subtly or you may really feel it strongly. It really depends. And that can change day to day, so no stress, no strain. Just softly focus on the spiritual intention. Now, as you rest in this frequency, imagine some person, place, event, or experience, something which helps you to feel it. Something which potentiates that elevation in emotional quality. Breathe into that feeling quality and allow it to spread throughout your entire space. Feel the elevated emotion as you rest in your spiritual intention. Now let go or surrender that image and stay with the feeling. Softly now sense your center. Sense the center of your space, from the earth, through the tailbone, through the belly and the chest, through the neck and the head to above your crown. Sense the center, like it's an energetic antenna that you're attuning with the spirit. Feel it. Enter into it. Become this vibration, this frequency. Now, as you rest in the spiritual intention, you can say your own mantra or prayer. If you don't know what to mentally repeat to yourself, if you don't know what to say, you can simply say, I am peaceful, or I am loving, or whatever your intention might be. Put that on the end of I am. If you find any resistance to that repetition, you can ask yourself, why am I peaceful? Or why am I loving? Or why am I powerful? Feel it. bring this state into our training today. Remember it, activate it, use it throughout your daily life, whenever and however you wish. Open the eyes whenever you're ready. Okay, so we're going to bring the state into the form now. Thanks, Jace, probably don't need you for this. If you want to bring it into the form, great, join along with it, and I suggest you do because it helps bring it to life. If you really just purely only want the meditative practice, then you can click the done button if you're on school. And also, I'd suggest you make a comment on the post below, or start your own thread in the community as well, just to get a discussion going and have any questions answered, and connect with the community as well. So let's bring that state into the form. Maybe you can face towards me so they can see the side view. Start with your feet together. Fists come up to the side as you come forward, point the toes out and the heels out, so you're in your stance now. So you maintain that good activity from the knees and a soft drawing up through the spine. Fists in the correct position here. And then just following through as we go. So for those of you who already know the form, I'd suggest you focus on the state. Since we were focused on the spiritual intent, just get that good feeling quality, so an uplifted emotional quality as you go through the form. This will help attune your mind, your heart, and your body with the higher fields of consciousness. It may be difficult, I know for some people at first it's difficult to influence their emotional condition, but over time and practice, you'll be able to bring yourself into whichever emotional quality you want, whether it's enthusiasm, joy, love, peace, freedom, power, whatever it might be. So when you practice your form, you can do 3 or 4 Fuk Sao, Wu Sao, just to maintain a nice sense of relaxation, connection, stance and structure. We'll call this last time back. Now we do the same on the other side. Tan Sao coming through. Coming back with Wu Sao. Spine tall, body relaxed, focusing everything forward. For the newer guys, just copy the movements. First things first, you just want to get your movements, the sequence and the shapes correct. Good, we'll just stick with part A today. So once again, any questions or comments, you can put it on the post below, or if you're on YouTube, click the link in the description and I'll see you inside the free community where we have the whole curriculum laid out for you, access to online events and a great global community to interact and connect with. Alrighty, so let's move into our exercise for the day. So for this week's skill, we're going to be focused on the guard. So the Wing Chun guard. Now, just quickly on how to measure it out, you start with your hands on your hips. So you bring them to the hips, like kind of just above your pockets where the hip bones are. And you keep your thumbs and fingers pointing in the same direction. So you're not spreading your fingers like this, because if you have your fingers spread, it's easier to have them busted, right? So you want to keep them working together to be more robust. Then from that position on your hips, you bring them up in front of you to make a triangulation. So your fingertips will touch, and then you bring one hand back. So you'll notice you have about a 90-degree angle in your front arm, and just under a 90-degree angle for the rear arm. Now you'll see there's a triangle shape in front of you. Now, the question is, okay, why do we have this type of guard? So, Noah, you just go here for a moment. So Noah has his guard up. The reason we have this type of guard, you want the shoulders relaxed so the elbows hang naturally. You want this sense of triangulation from your guard. So firstly, Noah's hands are protecting his center. So see how the hands are in this line. So if I throw any attacks down the center line, straight down this line, he's already protecting his throat, chin, mouth, nose, eyes, solar plexus and groin can be covered because it's on the center. So if he raises it or lowers it, he can protect his center quickly and efficiently. Further, the positioning of this guard here, so maybe you turn to the side, see how there's like a, so this should be a little bit back further, yeah, here, and this back further, yeah. So the front guard is approximately 90 degrees, and the back end is just under 90 degrees, right? Now the reason for this, maybe move back a bit, so, yeah. The reason for this is because the 90-degree angle is a very robust structure, meaning from a muscular and even a structural standpoint, that you can take the most pressure on this angle in the body. So the muscles are in the best angle, that we call this the optimum angle, to be able to take force into your body. Now further, in this position, from that, keep him up, he's able to reach forward to strike, but also collapse to defend. So he's in a very good position, like a midpoint, to be able to collapse and attack. Yeah? So whether it's drawing in or defending, or whether it's reaching upward or reaching forward to strike, he's in a very good position for that. Now also, Jace, the shape enables you to crack through. So if he's coming up against any type of guard, if he just steps forward, see that shape allows him to crack through like a wedge. So the Wing Chun guard also acts as like a wedge or a shape which can easily crack through, where you can see that, maybe face forward, that forces that meet to the triangular shape can be easily redirected off and away from Jason, meaning they get pushed to the sides, you know, because of that triangulated shape. Force coming in can be easily redirected and sent away. Now further, the shape of the hands, so Barry and Noah, see how we generally use open hands, right? Now the reason for that is that when you have open hands, you can actually, A, have a longer weapon. So if he reaches forward, he can eye strike. He can use a long weapon, right? Because of the length of the open hand. Second, it's easier to crack through any gaps. So if Noah has fists, right, you can see that the width of the fist is bigger than fingers, right? So Noah can get his hands through my hands easier to take control. And also, if he wants to change to a fist, he can do that once he's past the actual limb. He can change it to a strike as well. So it makes it easier to actually enter by having that thinner entry point with the pointed guard. Now, you can actually close your fists or have open palms like that. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But the problem is that the end of the lever, the end of the limb, is bigger and harder to crack through. So there are a few of the reasons why we use the Wing Chun guard: to protect the center, to redirect forces off, to be able to reach and crack through with a thinner piece of the target. So there are a few of the reasons why we use the Wing Chun guard. Now, further to that, let's have a look at wrong types of guards, in my opinion. So, you know, in regards to Wing Chun, I've seen pretty much every guard there is under the sun. And a couple of the common ones that I would suggest you don't use, firstly, is a lot of people use like a front Tan Sao hand and a back Wu Sao guard, like this. So you know, I mean, Ip Man kind of made it popular in the movies, but once again, that's a movie. It's not a real fighting application. Now, the problem with that, if I borrow Jason, is that from a Tan Sao position, right? One last point actually on the Wing Chun guard, so I'll take one step back. See, when we have our Wing Chun guard, we have it kind of right in the middle of where, so if you create a circle like this, see how this is where your arms can reach. So that also means, bro, you know, that in this is the guard up. this is the range where attacks are going to come because this is how my arms move, right? By Noah having his Wing Chun guard, approximately throat height, it's in the center of this attack circle. So any strikes that come, his hands are right in the center, so it's easy for him to go up, down, forward, left, right to defend. So having the guard in the center here allows you to defend against pretty much all types of incoming attacks as well. That's one more point I forgot to mention. Now coming back to it. So with the Tan Sao Wusa guard, so the palm up guard, the problem with this that I've seen is that, it's quite obvious actually, is that the time it takes for this hand to actually come up to defend is much longer because it's lower. Like if Jace has to reach his hand up from this position, right, it's not going to be effective if he keeps that position firstly. So I can actually just hit right through it because of the shape of it. It's quite wide open. Whereas if he's here in this position, see how this acts as a much better defensive mechanism. So firstly, there's that. So it's quite open, number one. And number two, it takes longer to come up. So it's just a very wide opening. So it's quite easy to come through. Whereas if he's already here, it takes much less time for him to start to actually defend any type of punch coming through. So that's the first piece. Now, that's the first guard which I don't suggest. I've seen Wing Chun people do this. So if you get told to do that, question it and test it. So I've tested all the different types of guards. This triangulation guard where you have the fingers and thumbs across through the center is the most effective. Caveat is, as you develop your internal power and skill, you can use whatever guard, it won't really matter. But until then, you want to use the best guard so that you're safest in combat. Now, the second kind of worst guard I've seen is like the double Wusao. See how both of Noah's hands are both on the center, on what we call the power plane in our system or the center line in other systems, right? The problem with this type of guard is that you'll see now there's a concave angle at the wrist here. This angle here creates a point of penetration. See how it's very easy. You even try to stop me, right? See how it's very easy for me to just hit through there because of this concave angle. It's already, because of this turn here, it's already moving in this direction. So if I add a bit of force, I can crack right through that. So I can use that as an opening. Further, apart from both hands being very close and easy to collapse and crush, as opposed to if you just do the correct way, see how now if I try to crack through that line, it can see how it naturally rolled me off this way, but it can also roll me off the other way as well, because it's a nice straight line to redirect forces off. But if both hands are collapsed here, the other downside is that often when both hands are here, the elbows are extremely narrow too. So you don't want them all the way flared out like a chicken, and you don't want them too close into your body because that also leads to tight shoulders, if you're too inward or closed as well. So not Tan up with the Wusao, not double Wusao right in the center, a triangulation. This works best. You're welcome to try it out if you're a Wing Chun practitioner when you go to your school and spar with your training partners. And you can also test it out if you're a newbie with your training partners as well. Now, let's move into, I think you need to move over a bit. Let's move into kind of how we do it once again, just so we're clear on that. You start from your stance, which we spoke about last week. Hands on your hips, you bring the hands up to meet at the fingers and thumbs, bring one hand back, approximately 90 degrees angle at the front, less than 90 at the backhand. The backhand should be higher than the elbow so that you'll see that if Jason's backhand is too low, I can trap the top hand over the top of the bottom, and that's not good for him, right? So it's better he has this higher, so if I try to trap, at least he has this hand still for back up. So it's better to have this approximately higher than the back elbow, right? So about 90 degrees at the front arm, just under 90 for this one, this hand higher. Now the hands should be approximately throat and chin height because the throat's the death shot. You get hit in your throat, you could potentially die. So the guard should be protecting the weakest, most vulnerable point on the center line, which is the throat. Now, so this is how you measure out the guard. From here now, we'll go into the exercises. So the first exercise is similar to what we did last week. It's just moving. So what I'd like you to do is just to start moving. You can move forwards and backwards with your guard. It doesn't matter left hand or right hand, it's up to you. And you can also start putting those diagonal steps in as well. So moving left and right, but you can also just move around freely and flowing. Spine tall, focused forward, keeping the guard on center as you move. So what you don't want is you don't want your legs and your arms working in different directions. You want everything coming together. So now the pointing of the knees and the feet, the pointing of the elbow, keep going, pointing of the elbows and the hands should be coming straight down your center. Now, problem here is that sometimes people start to reach too far out. So see how Noah's reaching too far out. Don't do that. Keep the 90-degree angle. That 90, keep going, guys, keeps that sense of robustness in your structure. You can step backwards and forwards like Jace. Make sure your hands are activated as well, so you still have a sense of activation and length through the fingers and hands. It's fine to actually go double palms and fists, but I suggest you start with the actual traditional guard. It has its value. Checking your feet, checking your toes. Good, so that's the first simple exercise. Now, the second exercise is tracking. Now, once again, you can do this with an imagined partner. So if you don't have a training partner, you can just imagine they're there and just track them, following them, keeping that sense of triangulation with hands and feet. Left hand, right hand, doesn't matter. That can change and develop as you train. But if you have a training partner, you can track your training partner. So essentially, Noah has his guard and his stance on, everything pointing to me, and as I move around, he wants to track. So I suggest you just start off slowly. If you have a training partner, just move around slow. I mean, yes, Noah's got the right ideas coming right up in my face, that's good. But you don't really need to do this exercise because it's just tracking. You're not focusing on striking or blocking yet, you're just tracking. So that's the idea. Now, what you can also add to this is I can always just call freeze and make sure everything's targeted, the legs, the guard, everything. Okay, so let's have a go at that. So you can start practicing at home. Stay on the screen. Bring the front guard back a little, Jay. See how it's more than 90. So you're starting to get a little bit woo-sowy with your hands on the, open them up a bit, yeah? Yeah. So you don't want the whole hand on the center line. Good tracking, good facing. Get the left foot more targeted as well. Spine tall. Your eyes, guys, your eyes should always switch roles. Your eyes should always be focused at the opponent's throat, around about here. Because the throat won't distract you or trick you like the eyes or the hands can. And wherever the throat goes, they go. Also, that shows you if there's an opening there, you can strike it. Noah, keep a bit more of a collapse. Don't be too far forward with your hand. The reason we don't want to be too far forward with our hands, guys, breathe for a moment. If you bring your hand too far forward, firstly, in order to punch, you haven't got much room or momentum left in your arm. You could still do it with a step. There's still that possibility, but you don't have as much propulsion from a 90-degree guard. Also, if the guard's too far out, it lengthened, his guard's too far, it's very easy to turn him and flank him, and that's not a good situation. Once again, if his guard's too far out, I could just use that to take his flank here, and now he's in trouble. So you don't want to have that overextended guard. Keep it a bit closer. Let's keep going. Cool, hold it there. And once again, you can call freeze if you're doing it with a partner. Practice this, if you're doing this with a partner or doing this on your own, you can pause the video and practice as long as you like. You don't have to quickly go through it with us, it's up to you. Now, the next exercise we're going to do is pushing on the guard. So as Noah now keeps his guard on and tracking me, so it's the same exercise, but we're going to add pushing on the guard. Now, what Noah doesn't want to happen is if I push on his guard, he doesn't want his guard to collapse. If he collapses his guard, that means he's open to be hit now. We don't want that, obviously. So he wants to keep a sense of robustness. The way to do that is, from the deeper internals, we center ourselves and sense our space. But to make it very simple, just aim your arms forward and keep this space. So just think of, I want to keep this space. So if I put pressure on Noah's space, his body might move back, and that's absolutely fine because he still has this space to defend himself, right? If he lets it collapse, this is not good, right? Now he's getting hit. So Noah's going to track me and move around, and as I put pressure on his guard, if the pressure's not great enough, he may just stay there, right? If the pressure's too much, he rides that pressure, maintaining forward intention. So he maintains forward intent, he rides the pressure, but keeps his space. So he doesn't let that collapse. All right, so let's have a go at that, boys. Maybe Noah, you move. Jace will push you, yeah? So that's moving around, yeah? Noah's tracking, he's facing. Every so often, Jason puts pressure on his guard. Noah rides the force. He wants to keep that space. Everything actively pointing towards the opponent. Nice. All right, switch. So Jason's keeping that space. It doesn't matter if he gets moved around. What matters is he protecting his space. So he's always got that forward intent. He's always tracking forward, 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 and he rides that pressure, keeping his space. Good. Okay. So now, the next part of the exercise. So Noah keeps his guard up, he keeps tracking me. So we're going into pulling now. So you want to maintain that space as someone pushes on you, but you also want to maintain balance and your guard if someone pulls. So if I pull on Noah's body, he rides that force into me and maintains his guard. This is an exercise, it's a practice. I mean, ultimately, if someone did pull, Noah could ride that into a strike if he wanted, but for now we're just practicing maintaining a solid, robust guard. So Noah keeps his guard and his stance on, he's tracking. Every so often I'm just pulling on his stance, yeah? Pulling on his guard, sorry. Moving, pulling, yeah. Alrighty, let's have a go. Noah, you keep doing it. Jason will do it to you, yeah. Just pulling on the guard. Tracking and pulling, yeah? Good, switch. So you get the idea. You've done push, now you're doing pull. Bring it back closer this way, gentlemen. Good. Pull just directly back to you. Good, switch back. Now we're going to do push and pull. Yeah, so Jason will push on Noah's guard, but also pull on it as well. So Noah's focused on maintaining everything tracking pointed to the center. Keep the hand activated, don't turn that left hand off. Keep a 90-degree angle in the lead hand, not too far forward. Spine tall, focused at their throat. Activate the state and the stance, focused into his center. Good, switch. Bring it back towards you a little bit, Jace. Yeah, good. And you can also start to call freeze as well. Freeze. To check, okay, are they pointed everything towards the center? Keep going. So you can add that in as well if you're training with a partner. Push, pull, freeze. And calling freeze. Cool. All right, bring it back in. So now the next layer of that, or the last layer we're going to work with today, is lateral. So Noah's going to be focused towards me. I'm moving around, he's tracking. I can use the push, I can use the pull, but I'm also going to try to pull him away. I'm going to pull him to the left and right. Noah wants to maintain tracking on me. So you notice how as I try to pull him to the left, he keeps the focus on me. So don't step to the left or right. Stay towards me. So as I try to pull you that way, see how he keeps coming at me and keeps focused at me. So that no matter what the direction that he's getting pressured with, so Noah keeps his guard up, whether I'm pushing on him or pulling on him or moving to the left or right, he maintains his focus. So you maintain connection to the opponent so that your mass momentum, your intention, your energy is always attacking them. For those of you guys who've been training for a while, who are deep into the internals, you can think about your power plane, your center and your power plane focused onto theirs. So that as they make contact with you, you're already offsetting their balance. You're already connecting to them, okay? Alrighty, so let's have a go at that, boys. Push, pull, and lateral. So it's left and right. And Jason just wants to maintain his focus towards the end of Noah's center. So the back of Noah's spine. It's also known as the end of the power plane. Jason's focusing from his center through to the back of Noah's center. All right, switch, push, pull, lateral. See how Noah just sticks towards him. Regardless of the push or the pull or the lateral, he just keeps coming towards him so that he's got a good, robust defense. He's got space to protect himself with. Keep the front guard active, the left hand. You're a bit weak at the front of the left hand now. Turn it on. Your fingers. Yeah. Yeah. Think like Bill G, you know. That time. Very good. So that's the exercises for the stance, but also the guard, because the stance and guard, they work together. That's the foundation for your power. The power comes from the state, the energetic condition of power and peace, bringing that state into it. The structure, so the bone structure, which we'll go into later lessons, but also the stance and guard. So that's the state, the structure, and the stance and guard are your foundations. So work on those, train them well, and your Wing Chun will be extremely powerful. Now, if you have any questions or comments, please put them below in the post if you're inside school, or you can start your own post. If you are on YouTube, click the link below and jump into our free community where you get the whole curriculum laid out, but also a global community to interact with and access to events as well. Thank you very much, guys, and I look forward to seeing you in our next lesson. Peace.